The story of the legendary television comedian Benny Hill is often remembered for its fast-paced, slapstick humor, playful music, and global popularity. But behind the laughter lies a far more complex legacy. The Benny Hill Show became a defining part of British comedy history, entertaining millions from the 1950s through the 1980s. Yet as cultural attitudes shifted, the same humor that once drew applause began to attract criticism. This rewritten account explores his journey from early life to fame, the rise of his television success, and the controversial moment that ultimately contributed to the decline of his show. Early life and background. Benny Hill, born Alfred Hawthorne Hill in Southampton, England, came from a family with both working-class roots and performance influence. His grandfather had worked as a circus clown, while his father ran a surgical appliance shop. This unusual mix of practicality and performance shaped his early imagination. Growing up, Hill was exposed to both discipline and entertainment traditions, which later influenced his comedic style. He attended school in Southampton and did not immediately enter show business. Instead, his early environment exposed him to ordinary working life, which later became material for his observational humor and character-based sketches. Early jobs and war service. Before becoming a household name, Benny Hill worked a variety of jobs that reflected his adaptability and curiosity. He was employed at Woolworths, worked as a milkman, bridge operator, driver, and even a drummer. These experiences gave him exposure to different social environments and personalities. During World War II, he served in the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, training as a mechanic. He later worked as a truck driver and searchlight operator and was eventually deployed in the Normandy campaign. His military service also led him into the Combined Services Entertainment Unit, where he first began performing comedy for troops. Entry into entertainment. The transition of Benny Hill into entertainment began with behind-the-scenes stage work, where he learned timing, coordination, and production discipline. These early experiences helped him understand how live performance operated from both technical and creative perspectives. After the war, he pursued performance more directly, developing comedic routines inspired by British music hall traditions and American comedians such as Jack Benny. His stage name, Benny, reflected this admiration. He gradually built confidence in live performance, refining his physical comedy style. This foundation prepared him for opportunities in radio and eventually television, where visual humor became his defining strength. Radio and early recognition. Benny Hill first gained national attention through radio, debuting on programs like Variety Bandbox in the late 1940s. Radio allowed him to focus on vocal timing, character voices, and scripted humor. While some shows were more successful than others, the medium helped him develop comedic instincts and audience awareness. He learned how to pace jokes and build recurring characters that listeners could recognize. His radio work eventually led to television appearances as the entertainment industry shifted toward visual formats. This transition marked an important turning point, allowing him to expand his physical comedy style beyond audio-only performance. Rise of television career. As television became the dominant entertainment medium, Benny Hill adapted quickly. His early TV appearances demonstrated his ability to combine visual gags, facial expressions, and rapid sketch transitions. Unlike radio, television gave him the opportunity to fully develop slapstick sequences and comedic choreography. By the early 1960s, he was starring in his own series, playing multiple characters across different sketches. This versatility made him stand out in British entertainment. His ability to shift between absurd humor, parody, and character-driven comedy helped establish him as one of the most recognizable television comedians of his era. The Benny Hill Show era. The launch and evolution of The Benny Hill Show marked the peak of Benny Hill's career. The program became known for its fast-paced editing, exaggerated chase scenes, and silent comedy influenced by early cinema. It combined slapstick, musical numbers, and parody sketches into a distinctive format that appealed to international audiences. The show's humor often relied on visual exaggeration rather than dialogue, making it accessible across language barriers. For decades, it remained one of Britain's most exported comedy programs, achieving massive global syndication and establishing Hill as a worldwide entertainment figure. Growing controversy and criticism. By the late 1970s and 1980s, the comedy style of Benny Hill began to face increasing criticism. What had once been seen as playful and harmless humor started to be viewed by some audiences as outdated and inappropriate. Critics argued that certain sketches relied heavily on outdated stereotypes and objectification. As social attitudes toward gender representation and media ethics evolved, the show's content became more controversial. Although it still retained a loyal fan base, public debate around its tone intensified, placing the program under scrutiny from both media commentators and cultural critics. Cultural shift and public reaction. The cultural landscape surrounding Benny Hill shifted significantly during the 1980s. Audiences increasingly demanded more modern forms of comedy that reflected changing social values. The show's traditional slapstick and risque humor began to clash with emerging standards of television content. Some broadcasters and critics argued that it no longer aligned with contemporary expectations. While many viewers still enjoyed its comedic style, others felt it had become repetitive or insensitive. This divide in public opinion contributed to declining support from television executives who were reassessing programming direction in response to cultural change. Decline and cancellation. As criticism mounted, the future of Benny Hill's show became uncertain. Production decisions began to shift, with episodes being shortened and eventually canceled by broadcasters. Although no single sketch alone caused the end, the accumulation of controversy, changing audience tastes, and declining institutional support played key roles. By the late 1980s, the show was officially taken off the air. This marked the end of an era in British television comedy, closing a chapter that had spanned decades and significantly influenced global comedic television formats. Legacy and lasting impact. Despite controversy, the legacy of Benny Hill remains deeply embedded in television history. His influence can be seen in physical comedy, sketch pacing, and international slapstick traditions. While modern audiences may interpret his work differently, his contributions to visual humor and global television syndication are undeniable. The Benny Hill Show helped shape the development of exported British comedy and introduced a distinctive comedic style to worldwide audiences. Today, his work is both studied and debated, reflecting the evolving nature of comedy and cultural standards across generations.